I've had some dumb injuries, especially as a kid. One time when I was probably about 5 years old, I was watching a NASCAR race. For those who don't know, NASCAR is a form of car racing. Two drivers named Kasey Kahne and Matt Kenseth were battling it out in the final few laps. Of course, as like a 5-year-old watching one of my favorite sports, I was hyped, even though I didn't care about either of the drivers that much. It was a pretty close race to the finish, and eventually the driver named Matt Kenseth wins. 5-year-old me decides that it's absolutely imperative that everybody knows this information. And so I dash out of the room of the television as fast as possible, screaming at the top of my lungs, "Matt Kenseth won! Matt Kenseth won!" While I'm screaming this, I'm trying to run to the rest of my family who are across the house. The issue is that in the middle of my house, in between two rooms, there's this pretty large step, especially for a 5-year-old. And because I'm devoting my energy and little brain power I have to screaming and running, I kind of forget to account for this step. And so when I reach the step, I ram my shin into it. It was probably the worst pain 5-year-old me had ever felt. The step has a part that kind of like juts out, which basically meant I was being stabbed. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but still, it was not very fun. A couple years later, I had another incident in my house, which was a lot less complicated. Basically, my mom opened a door and I ran into it. There was no reason, no excuse, no distraction like the last time. I just, for no reason, ran straight into a door, and I hurt the inside of my elbow or the front of my elbow. I don't know what it's called. I remember the next day at school, someone noticed that I had hurt the inside of my elbow, and they were like, "Sean, what happened?" And I was like, "I ran into a door." And then they were like, "Oh, was the door like in the process of being opened, so it surprised you, or?" And then I responded, "Nope." And then they were very confused. I also had some dumb injuries at school. One time when I was in like 5th grade, I was playing football. And when I say football, I very much mean like a baby version of football. We weren't tackling or anything. I was on defense in this game of football, and probably the most athletic kid in the school had caught the ball, and it was up to me to try to tag them, which was the equivalent to a tackle, basically. They make a quick move to one direction, but I'm pretty ready for it. But as I'm countering his first move, he quickly goes in the other direction, and I have my ankles broken. I literally fall to the ground because of this move. In the process, I twist my right ankle pretty bad, and for the next few days, I was struggling to walk on that ankle. I'm guessing it was probably a mild sprain, or maybe I just twisted it pretty bad. A couple years later, I had another incident while playing football. This time, I was on offense, and it happened while I was trying to catch a ball. I was trying to catch a ball that was thrown to the side of the field we were playing on. And it's important to note that when I say a field, we didn't actually play on a field. We played on a concrete court. And on one of the sides of that concrete court, there was a really low bench. And when I went up to catch this ball, I went diving straight into this bench. Over the course of the next few days, it became known as a 720 around the bench, which of course is completely ridiculous because that would mean I'd have to fall towards the bench, make one full revolution down and back up the bench, and then do it again in one falling motion, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But we were like 12 years old, so yeah. As a result of the supposed 720-degree revolution I had done around the bench, I scraped my knee pretty bad, and my parents had me go to urgent care for it. But it wasn't that bad, so I was fine. I recovered, no stitches or anything. The last dumb injury I have for this video happened when I was probably around 10 years old, so I'm backtracking a bit time-wise. My dad and I used to play this really stupid but really fun game where we would try to knock each other off balance while we were each standing on one foot and facing each other. You would lose the game if you had to stand on 2 feet or if you fell. If we were playing this game in a place that didn't have stuff around, like a grass yard or a basketball court or something, it would have been pretty risk-free. But we were playing it inside of a room that was filled with tables and desks and chairs. And so as you can probably imagine, after a while of playing this game, eventually, one of the times I got knocked off balance, I went headfirst into a desk. It was a pretty solid hit. I bled some, but it wasn't terrible. What was disappointing was that unfortunately we had to retire that game, as both my dad and my mom mutually agreed that it probably wasn't a very safe game to play in the middle of a room with a bunch of things to fall onto. Those are all the dumb injuries I've had. Luckily, none of them were too serious. I'm still kicking. That's gonna be it for the video. Thank you for watching. See you next time, and bye-bye.